Hi, welcome to today's video. I'm Mary Felling, and today I'm going to be showing you a wonderful release for the hamstring muscles and the back of your thigh. So let's get started. All you need today is a chair to do this exercise in. And as you can see, I'm at the very front end. So go ahead, get your chair, pause this video, and then come back and we'll start together. In this position, if you're seated at the very front, you're going to extend your leg out comfortably. You're not straining, you're not pulling the toes up, you're just relaxing that leg out in front of you. Heel is rested on the floor. Back is nice and tall, and we're elongating everything along the back of the thigh. This is a hamstring muscle. There are 3 different heads in the hamstring muscle. And we're going to start our clock so you're nice and tall. And you're just going to lean forward as if you're bringing your belly button forward, your navel forward towards your knee. And as soon as you feel an elongation in the back of your thigh, you're there. Another component for John Barnes Myofascial Release techniques is to elongate. So you also, while you're in this position, want to think of taking that heel and just kind of elongating that down towards the floor. You won't go far because there's just not a lot of length. But as long as you have just ounces of a telescoping sensation through the leg from the heel, you're good. So back is nice and tall. Bringing your navel forward. As you bring your navel forward, that helps bring your hip forward, tilts it, and it'll increase the stretch back here. You always want to feel that there's a stretch going on, but you do not want to strain. You don't want to force yourself through to the end. You just take yourself forward until you feel all the slack has been taken out behind your thigh, and that's it. You're at what we call the barrier, and that's where you're going to hold. So for true myofascial release work, for the John Barnes Myofascial Release approach, we use a minimum of 5 minutes of mechanical energy into the body to help the fascia to start opening, softening, and rehydrating. This exercise is so good for anyone with low back pain. Over the years, because the fascia is that one piece of material I talk about, and if you're not familiar with it, you can go on to my YouTube channel, Mary Felling, and you'll see a short little video about what myofascial release is. But it describes how the fascia is all one piece of material in our body. Just like my grandmother knitted scarves and sweaters for me from one skein of yarn, it's the same with the fascia in the body. It's all one piece of material. And so when we have injuries or overuse, repetitive use, surgeries, poor posture for a long period of time, that causes fascia to bind down really tight. And when it does, it dehydrates, it becomes brittle, it becomes hardened, and those areas we call myofascial restrictions. Well, they create tension and tightness through the fascial band, and as you age, as years go by, that just creates tension further and further up through or down through the fascial band. And eventually that could reach into the low back. So you can have low back pain that's actually originating in the hamstring. That's why this is a good release technique to help any low back pain. This is also really good for those of you who are experiencing hip pain, any knee pain, because the muscles do come down and they go and attach below the knee on either side. So they help to bend the knee. Matter of fact, they are the primary mover to bend your knee. But they also stabilize. They work to help give stability to the knee. So you always want to have them on their maximum length, nice and limber, so it's not pulling through and creating pain and dysfunction at the knee or any tension up into the back. So we're in our last minute here, and as I always say on the videos, 5 minutes is the minimum that we're going to be using for a myofascial release. When this video is done, I encourage you to remain in the position and feel for releases. And a release, a myofascial release, feels like softening in the area, butter melting, taffy pulling. You might feel increased movement. All of a sudden you feel, I can go a little further. I'm not as tight as I was. and then you move through that where you feel the opening, because you might feel first that you move to the left or move forward into the right. So you just kind of follow where you feel the opening taking you, and you go to that end and hold it and maintain that mechanical energy of elongation. And I can already feel I got a little further. All right, so we're at the end of the 5 seconds. Please continue. 7 minutes, 8 minutes is a really good time for this. And of course you would switch and then you go to your other leg. When you finish, remember to slowly come back up. You may not have been in that position for a while, and so you want to take care of your body. And when you're done, you can just maybe march a little, just raise up and down on your toes, scoot back a little, and then you can get ready and do your opposite leg. All right, as you can see, I've switched to the other side, and I'm going to be now doing my right thigh. This is a good idea if you have low back pain to do both legs, because either side can be contributing to pain coming up through the hips and across the low back. So if you have low back pain, that's what you need to do. If you just have problems with one knee or the other, the back of the thigh and hamstring tightness or pain on one side versus the other, you only need to do the one side. All right, but those of you with low back pain, even some hip pain, again, you want to move forward to the edge of your chair. Spine is nice and tall, leg is out, it's relaxed. I'm not pulling my toes up, I'm not forcing anything. It is just very, very relaxed there. Hands are on my opposite thigh, and I'm going to bring my belly forward. We're starting the timer here, and I'm bringing my navel forward actually. And as I bring my navel forward, I can feel more of the back of my thigh. I'm not even bringing my navel forward. I'm leading with my belly button, but what that'll do is bring your hips forward, and it'll tilt you forward, and that'll put a nice pull in the back of the thigh, which is where these hamstrings are. And so you want to just go until you come to the end of that slack. Take all the slack out at the back, and you know you're at the end of the slack when, if you wanted to go further, it feels like you have to muscle it through, have to really pressure through. But that's not what you want to do. You just go to the end of the slack and stay there. You found the barrier. And now we're going to be here a minimum of 5 minutes, because it takes 5 minutes for that electrical flow, that bioelectric, piezoelectric effect to start moving through the fascia, so that when it comes to those myofascial restrictions, it can start rehydrating them, softening, and elongating them. So 5 minutes is the minimum time, and I really encourage you to stay in the position longer, hopefully 7 or 8 minutes plus. And because the fascia is three-dimensional, it runs from the top of our head down to our toes, from the front to the back and the side to the side, you may find as you feel softening and releasing that you feel like you're moving forward and maybe to the left, or forward and maybe to the right, because you never know which direction or angle the fascial restrictions are impacting in the back of your thigh. So you just want to go with what your body's telling you. And if you feel like you're working hard, you're probably working too hard. So make sure you're soft in your leg. Spine is nice and tall. We're not doing this, bringing the head down to the knee. We're not doing that. Leading with the navel, which kind of rotates the hip forward, and as that rotates forward, it pulls through the back. Gives that fascial band, the muscle band of the hamstring, a nice elongation. And maintaining that, which is elongation or stretch, in this case, is a mechanical energy. And when you put mechanical energy into the body, after 5 minutes, you get that electrical flow going. So this is really good to do before any kind of sports, before going to the gym and lifting, before going on those hikes. And then when you come home again, same thing. This is the muscle that really gets a lot of work out. Every time we're bending over, lifting, walking, hiking. This is really important for you gardeners out there, for you caregivers. A lot of you are bending over and lifting all day. The hamstring gets quite a workout. And because all the fascia here through the hamstring continues up through the low back, If this becomes tight over time, it creates tension and a tensile force up through the rest of the fascia band. We have a big fascia band that goes across the low back too, and all that hooks in with that fascia, because fascia, remember, is just made from one piece of material. So it's pulling further up the fascial band, and when it gets to the low back, it can put quite a bit of pressure in it there. All right, so back is still nice and tall. And I'm beginning to feel, we're just 3.5 minutes in, but I can feel where I'm softening a little bit. That means the muscle is releasing. We haven't quite gotten to the fascial aspect, but the muscles will start softening and releasing before. That's not uncommon. So if you do feel softening and relaxing, great, move forward, allow your body to go to the new end length, and I just could feel like I could get to a longer length now. And a release feels like there's some length and slack coming in, less pain, less intensity of a symptom you've had. You might feel it pulling into other areas of your system, and in the other areas that feels less painful. That's a sign you got to release down in your hamstring or wherever you may be working. And now what's happening, I can feel this now pulling down in my calf. So I've gotten into a position where the fascia through the back of the hamstring apparently has been affecting and is creating tension down in my calf. So that's great. All right, so please continue. We are at the end of the 5 minutes here. Please continue for another 2 to 3 minutes minimum. And when you're done, you want to come back up slowly. Pull your foot in. Some of you might get a numbness feeling. You might feel like you get some nerve discomfort. That's okay. Nerves have fascia within them too. And if you've got fascia restrictions through a nerve, you're going to feel buzzing, numbness, you know, those kinds of nerve pains. So you haven't done anything wrong. That's all that's going on. And maybe just raise your heels up, lift your toes up, bring your feet back underneath you. Just because you've been in a position you may not have been in a long time and it's new to your body. So you want to move slowly in and out of these positions till you get a sense of how your body responds to them. All right, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in our next video.